Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to Jason is a Social Scientist by Mouth Daily Pill number 221. Once again, here we are. Dang it, and 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 dang it to heck. Hey, Coffer, engage the echo chamber. Glad to see you too. Glad to see you too. Hey, Coffer. Time for some communion. Damien, you're here early, and I'm here late. Welcome. Thank you. I had a good date. It was good. It was very, very good. I went to his house this time. It's his parents' house. He's, he grew up here. He's living in Seattle right now, and he's back for his 40th. David is back for his parents' 40th wedding anniversary party was yesterday. Some chocolate cake that was left over. Anyway, what? Oh yeah, so I don't know. I liked being in his his house. It was really nice. He grew up there. He comes from a family of goddamn artists, genius level artists. He has a bust. His head, a bronze head of himself that his grandpa made when he was a little boy, and his sister painted a really beautiful picture of him when he was little. Sister. I fell in love with his sister too because she makes these amazing paintings. Anyway, welcome. This is Jason is the Social Scientist by Mouth Daily, pill number 220. The pill is Triumeq. It's a once-a-day pill containing 3 medications, opicavir, dolutegravir, and lutein. Together, they work in concert to suppress the replication of the HIV virus within my system. I take my HIV medication live in the Book of Face in front of friends, family, strangers, and everybody else too, I guess, in order to embrace stigma, dispel ignorance, and find support. I embrace the stigmas of HIV, of sexually transmitted disease, of polyamory, of suicidal ideation, of substance use. And on that note, we'll engage in some communion. We are a robot. I cried during sex tonight. I had to interrupt sex and to have a good cry. I cried during sex tonight. What? Doesn't everybody do that? It's normal. It's a normal part of human sexuality to sob during the middle of it, I think. For some of us. Human sexuality to stop during the middle. You guys are a talkative bunch. I gotta get rid of this. This has really gots to go. This fixture needs to be unfixed. It needs to be a movture. No. What? Is it hot in here? Yes, it is. he really likes me, and I really like him. It's weird.
Is it hot in here? Yes, it is.
But it's true. Dang, it really is true. So what of it?
But it's true. Dang, it really is true. So what of it?
What? Well, fine. Fine. I'm just gonna smoke another bowl then. I'll commune by myself. Fine. Everybody's mad at me. No one's gonna talk to me anymore. That's fine.
I'm just gonna smoke it.
Fine.
Everybody's mad at me. No one's gonna talk to me anymore. That's fine.
Wow. It just is the illusion of a fire. There is a gas fireplace there, and I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier, because this actually works better than the gas fireplace. But that's actually the TV from my bedroom, and the reason why I keep it is, well, is like a fundamental part of the. Well, people have donned it 4D, I guess. You can call it what you will. I've just been enjoying playing with the forced perspective, right? And originally I just moved the camera up on top of the cupboards to get it out of the way of my wife, because she was yelling at me about the camera being down here. And she wanted to relegate me to a spare bedroom, and I'm like, no, what am I? And then I'm like, what am I going to do? I cannot be relegated to a spare bedroom. And I was sitting here with my head down, and then I looked up, and I looked up into this corner right where you guys are sitting, and I was like, eureka, because every time I have a problem, I'm like, just gotta get high. And once I was up here, the fireplace was already in position, and then I remembered I had this doll stuff, and there was a fireplace inside of it, right? Dang it, right the heck. Dang it the heck. Heck it the dang. Dang it the heck. Where are all the candles go? Dang it, the heck? Science likes synchronicities everywhere for those with the eyes to see it. Science likes synchronicities everywhere for those with the eyes to see it. Science likes synchronicities everywhere. Fire. I need new candles. I need this. I'm trying to resurrect a candle I discarded. I need new candles. I need this. I'm trying to resurrect a candle I discarded. No, I'm good. I'm good. I had a really great night. I'm just concentrating on trying to get this fireplace going. Sorry. I really did. Like, had another amazing night. We had sex again 4 nights in a row. Like, the first night we didn't have sex, but 4 nights in a row we've seen each other, and had another amazing night. We had sex. Yeah, feeling really good, which is dangerous for anybody. And then, what? Okay, finally the fireplace there. Okay, so then my wife had also in the same stuff with the fireplace there. Okay, so then miniature box. Also, there was a miniature. I got it at a garage sale, I think, like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and. But the sewing machine was Laura's. She learned to sew on it. It belonged to her grandmother before that, and I don't know. They're matching pretty well. It fell and broke. I have to super glue it. It belonged to her grandmother before that, and I don't know. They're matching pretty well. It fell and broke. I have to super glue it. Yeah, and so was it Carrie? I was talking about the fireplace with. So yeah, and then once like winter, I had the gas fireplace going for a long time, and then once summer got it got too hot. Like it got too hot even in the wintertime. So yeah, and then once like winter, I had the gas fireplace going for a long time, and then when summer got it got too hot. Like it got too hot even in the wintertime. Thank you, Nicola. Yeah, like happy is a strong word, right? Happy is dangerous. Happy is vulnerable. You think I'm gonna put myself there? Okay, I'm happy. All right, I can't resist it. Happy is a strong word, right? But happy is dangerous. I know it's temporary. Just like I try to tell myself, doesn't this? I can't resist it. This feels like whatever. But sadness always feels like it's gonna last forever. It feels like when I get sad, at least for me, it feels like I've been sad my whole life. I will always be sad, and the skies are always cloudy. I think happy is a little bit different. I'm like always afraid it's gonna disappear. Like it's fleeting, right? But it will, and that's okay. Like, and I'm not saying I can't predict the future with David and I. Certainly not. But I've learned with life is fleeting, and we're all vulnerable. The human body is quite frail in some way. Everything's relative. I'm here to. Even size is relative. Volume is relative. Speed, even in a relationship, is relative. Anyway. Yeah, so because of that, like, especially if your happiness is dependent on other people, like, and being social creatures, like, it's part of the human condition that it is.
So because of that, like, especially if your happiness is dependent on other people.
We're all vulnerable to other people, and our emotions are vulnerable to them, too. It's tricky. Anyway, so then we got the mini sewing machine, we got the mini fireplace, we got the mini TV, mini phonograph, big phonograph, mini phonograph, and then what else? I don't know. Carrie says, honesty, authenticity, and vulnerability are the things that I'm drawn to in others. I have so much respect and appreciation for those who share their own stories, embracing their imperfections. I concur, realism, like, I have so much respect and appreciation for those who share their own stories, embracing, I concur. I want to believe even the fake stories are real. I still want, I crave, I think, I don't know. I'll try not to be too immodest, but I feel like the show is kind of something special. And I am getting a response from people, and I think because people crave authenticity, I think that's it. Like, I was talking to David about this therapist. I brought her up like 3 times. Her and Eileen and I shared a therapist named Ellen, in a partial hospitalization. It's like group therapy that lasts 18 days, 6 hours a day. They call it a partial hospitalization. It's basically like the same programming you would get, roughly, in an inpatient hospitalization, except you go home to sleep. And for a lot of people, it's a good transition from, like 24-hour acute care to, rather than going straight home to your apartment by yourself, like, have like some sort of structure to go to. Anyway, before I get off, so why did I bring up Ellen? So one of the things that I was always like really impressed with my mom about was, she taught me not to hate, right? When I was 5 years old, she made me watch the whole mini series of Roots. And she said that, and this is like, it stuck with me, right? I think, she said to me that she wouldn't want one of her kids to be gay, but not because she disagreed with it and thought it was bad. And this was when I was little, and she didn't say it to me. I heard her telling other people this, but because how difficult of a life it would be for them, and she wouldn't want to see how sad they were, and see them. And to me, that was a good message. Like, the message I thought I took from it was that my mom doesn't, my mom is, and it fit with the overall message I got from my mom, that to accept people, to accept other people. But Ellen had different response to it. I was kind of bragging about my mom, and she's like, well, that's good, but that's a lot of pressure to put on a little boy to be happy. Sometimes being ourselves isn't necessarily going to lead to happiness. She didn't. She kind of gave me the opportunity to think about it, but I was struggling with it, and she was breaking, a fundamental belief of mine, right? That my mom was perfect. Imagine that. My mom wasn't perfect. This is crazy. And she's like, well, what, how could she have changed it? How could she have changed it to make it better for, to not put that pressure to be happy on you? And I was stumped. And I'm like, what? I don't know. And she's like, well, how about authentic? all she wants for her children, all she wants for her kids is to be authentic. And that, I think that's such a simple but wise edit, and that's what the message I try to send to my kids now, that like I want them to be who they are. And I hope that leads them to happiness, and I hope they're able to find happiness as who they are. But all I really hope for them is the opportunity to be who they are. And what else? So, I have no idea. I think it's hard everywhere. I think it's hard. It's hard, definitely, in my sphere. I wasn't until I stepped out of my my natural environment as a whatever. Now that we've invented the Book of Face and all these electronic devices, this is my natural environment. But until I learned to more fully explore my natural environment, when I came out as HIV positive, before that, when I came out as bisexual, my coworkers, you know what? Part of it, I didn't come out for so fucking long is because I hear how people talk. People just assumed I was straight for 35 years. No one ever questioned it, and I never corrected people or whatever, but straight people talk to other straight people about gay people. Some people do, some people, when they get familiar, they feel like they can, whatever. And I saw even a different perspective as a nurse, and as we would treat LGBT patients. People's biases and bigotries come out, right? And every little thing sticks with me, right? And so I don't know, and so sometimes my fear and my anxiety, I'm projecting negative thoughts into people, but it's not always. That shit's reinforced by the real world too. I can't, I can't generalize about how people usually react because I can't read minds, but I can tell you a few things. Often I'll get some mention that'll be brought up about either reassuring me that they are comfortable drinking from the same beverage as me, if it's or sometimes people will say oh man, I would have put a bullet in my head, right? I've got that was when I first was diagnosed, more than one person said I would kill myself. One person close to me said, Jason, I want to help you, but you're on this path of self-destruction. I think that's probably the most common thing is you did this to yourself, Jason. People that mean well will say that to me, and how many other diseases? It's only because of the vector, how you got it. There's 7.5 billion people, and I don't know how many sex acts have been performed to achieve 7.5 billion, but and there's a number of sex acts that were done that with no even intention of producing children. But I digress. I don't know. It's when somebody gets a disease, another form of disease. I don't know. When you get the flu, it's not a moral failing. People, you breathe the air. You chose to do that, right? People, whatever. And I think the majority of people, there's saints out there, right? saints that like never engage in, well, whatever, like as if sexual activity is inherently bad. But there are people that, you know, if they believe that sex is wrong, could claim truly that they don't engage in sexual activity, they don't whatever, and but most people have engaged in sex. Most have engaged in unprotected sex. People lie all the fucking time about condom use.
Most people have engaged in sex. Most have engaged in unprotected sex. People lie all the fucking time about
Whatever. It's all good. Where'd my bong go? I do need some sleep. I think my mood is so labile. It really is. But I had an awesome time tonight, though. I really did.
I do need some sleep. I think my mood is so
It felt really intimate.
awesome time tonight. I really did.
Well, I understand where it's something I say to myself too. Like the things that hurt the most when what people say are the things that go through my brain too, right? That just reinforce my biggest fears about what people think, or what like thoughts about myself that go through my own head. I think another thing that bothers me there's a number of people that look at me with immediate suspicion too. Probably horny fucks that wouldn't be able to control themselves, right? Especially when I start to argue that people who are HIV positive shouldn't be required to, or shouldn't be subject to. It shouldn't be criminalized for HIV positive people to have sex. Let's put it that way.
Shouldn't be subject to.
I really feel like people are responsible for their own sexual health. But that being said, you know, because I think, and I really believe that, because I feel more responsibility to tell people, even though I feel like, and maybe this is more even just of a courtesy, but I feel an obligation, even when my viral load is undetectable like it is now, and the science is out, and there's doctors and organizations signing on to consensus statements saying that U equals U, undetectable equals untransmissible. I really believe that I'm not contagious, and I really believe that and the science supports that. It's not even but I still feel a responsibility to tell my partners, just because I feel like most people would want to know, and I think consent is important. You know, I think you should know full. You know, like, well, you know, like whatever. I don't. It's just what I like to do, at least, if nothing else. But what I do when I start to talk about how I don't think it should be legally required, people automatically assume that I'm having sex and not telling people that I'm spreading HIV. People look at me as like a contagion, and malicious too, and that really bothers me, because that's one of my worst fears. Was did I give it to anybody else? And as far as I know, I hope I didn't. The person I was most afraid that having given it is a guy I was with a couple times. I met on Grindr, and I fucked
I
him
was most afraid
with
of having
unprotected sex, and it was like a few months before I was diagnosed,
I met a grinder,
and
and I fucked him. Most afraid of having unprotected sex, and it was like a few months before I was diagnosed.
and then once I was diagnosed, I wasn't brave enough to go on Grindr again for a year. Like I didn't log in again. I just couldn't do it. I'm like, what? And
I was diagnosed. I wasn't
it wasn't my like.
again for a year.
It wasn't my what? My finest moment, right? But because it
wasn't my
it's not my responsibility to, and it's not required. But after I was diagnosed, I just like I couldn't approach it. I couldn't tell my previous partners. Most of them I wouldn't have been able to find. Almost all my partners were just hookups, and like going on Grindr, that's where I would have met the person that I caught it from. I just felt ashamed for having caught it. I have felt ashamed for having the app. Like I just couldn't look at it, and so I waited for a year, and then when I finally got brave enough, like the people that I could remember, because I didn't. Most of the time, I did use condoms, right? Like it wasn't. So there's only a couple people that I was really concerned, and I reached out to the guy that I was most concerned about, and he had a negative HIV test within the past few months, and so I didn't give it to him, and that was a big relief. But the most important thing that I do to keep my partner safe, to keep myself alive, to keep my family safe, to keep any first responders that might interact with me safe, whatever, to keep whoever, to keep the people around me safe. The most important thing I do is I take my medication, right? If I take my medication every day, it stops the replication of the virus within my system, and then when they take my vital bodily fluids, my blood, my semen, and they look at it with all their fancy, I don't know, diagnostic equipment and whatever scientific techniques, and they can't find the virus, right? So their most sensitive tests can't pick it up, and so the virus isn't there to give to other people. It just and they knew for a long time that the HIV virus, when controlled, the people who were HIV positive, when they took their medications, it was much less of a risk for them to transmit the virus. The risk of transmission was much lower. They said one phrase to describe it is treatment as prevention. And Scruff, that's like another Grindr type app. Like the form of safe sex that you practice is none, right? Condoms, treatment is prevention, right? I think, and PrEP, pre-exposure protocol. It's a pill that people who are HIV negative can take, and they take it on a daily basis, and it's think of it as a chemical condom. It prevents HIV. Well, people use sex like a drug sometimes. Whatever copes, whatever helps you cope. Lucas, I understand. I don't know. I like novelty, I guess. I like to mix it up too. Okay, hi. It's good to see you, man. And no, I'm with you. I think but there's risks to all behaviors. Especially the fun ones. Yes, it's called Truvada. You know, there's a hashtag for them to like Truvada whores. Like I think upwards of 80% of the gay population in San Francisco is on pre-exposure protocol. The transmission rates of HIV have like plummeted, and the which is good. Like so now, like where HIV is like really is in poor communities, people with poor access to health care. But like the divide between healthy HIV people and people with HIV, people that have the HIV virus, and ones that die of AIDS is usually their socio-economic situation. And ones that die of AIDS is usually their socio-economic. What else? So, yeah, so Truvada whores, hashtag Truvada whores, in cities that like the really progressive, they've implemented like the rates of transmission have plummeted, and in places like Africa where get HIV medications to pregnant women, the rates of transmission to mother to infant, like it's also possible to bring that down to zero as well. There's talk of the AIDS-free generation, right? Like it's it's within reach. I mean, we had our shit together, but the world has its shit together, perhaps even less than I do. I don't even know it's a competition. The world has its shit together, perhaps even less than I do. I don't even know it's a competition. And then, so, but beyond and PrEP has been hugely successful. I mean, full disclosure, there's been 2 people taking PrEP that have contracted HIV, but that's out of millions of people, which is, I don't know, one article I read said that's more of a testament to its success than to its failure, but, yeah, it's like HIV medications can't like poor compliance, like the same as with poor antibiotic compliance. There can if I only took my medication between the real danger zone is roughly 50. If I took this 50% of the time up to 80% of the time. So if I took it in that window, it would let the HIV virus bounce back enough to like keep getting, to keep getting a chance to grow. And so eventually, like a mutation happens that makes it resistant to Triumeq or whatever. If you take it more than 80% of the time or less than 50% of the time, that really doesn't happen. Yeah, so. Less than 50% of the time, that really doesn't happen. So 2 people that were on PrEP, like they use a different medication. It's called Truvada instead of Triumeq. Truvada has 2 medications rather than the 3 that are in this one. So 2 people that were on PrEP, like they use a different medication. It's called Truvada instead of Triumeq. Contracted a form of HIV that was resistant to Truvada, and that probably will become a bigger problem over time. But right now, I think so far it's more effective than condoms. I think that's fair to say. It's really effective. And they still recommend using it with other condoms, right? But like using it with condoms, but that's to prevent other sexually transmitted diseases. But I don't know, like people that are alive enough to be sexually active in the 70s and earlier remember a time when sexually transmitted disease wasn't. I mean, it was still stigmatized, but it wasn't like this fear of death. Like, whatever. Anyway, the future is now, and it's 1960. Free love, babies. The future is now, and it's 1960. Free love, babies. So, but then the treatment as prevention. Treatment as prevention. So,
But then the
there was was pretty big news too, right? It came out in 2015, the year I was diagnosed. The partner study, and the initial results were preliminary, and then the final results came out in 2016. And what the partner study did, and I should look these numbers up again to make sure I got it, but this is pretty close. So like 1,300 couples, 800 gay couples, 500 straight couples, and what? They were serodiscordant. So one, like in each couple, one of the people were HIV positive, and the other one was HIV negative. That's serodiscordant. And the HIV positive person had to be taking their medication and maintaining undetectable viral load. So, and then the HIV negative person couldn't be on the PrEP, what I was just telling you about, the pre-exposure protocol. And they follow these people for 2 years, like 50,000 sex acts or something, right? You know, like, and at the end of the study, five of those people, 5 of the HIV negative people became HIV positive, and then. But the thing with the HIV virus is it's very rapidly mutating, so you can track where it came from, right? So they looked at the 5 people that were that became HIV positive in the course of the study, and then they looked at their partners, the ones that were virally suppressed and undetectable, and all 5 of those people had a different type of virus, like the virus that the HIV negative person had so basically the HIV negative person caught HIV from somebody else, like they were having sex, they were in a polyamorous relationship, or they were breaking monogamy. What do you call it? Cheating. I hate the word cheating, like it's a game. I don't breaking monogamy. And they caught it from somewhere else. And so, like, after the final results came out, so like no one in that, like, and all that sex, right, all that crazy unprotected sex, not one person caught HIV. The prevention specialist that when I first got diagnosed with HIV, I went into the AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin and sat down with this prevention specialist. And before he said anything else to me, as he sat down, he hit his hands on things like, "Fucking hate condoms." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm so guilty because I didn't use one. That's why I'm in this mess, right?" I thought there's a better way, right? There's always, like, sometimes there's a better way. Anyway, come on down, Lucas. Come on down, and bring your drugs. Show you how to do those right. Just kidding. Or am I? Show you how to do those right. Or am I? Dang it right to heck. I need a bowl. I need to smoke a bowl right now. That was a lot. That was man. Was that? Am I standing on a soapbox? It feels like it's a really tall soapbox. That was a lot. Whew. That was man. Was that? Am I standing on a soapbox? It feels like it's a really tall soapbox. Wait, we should play a record, but you asked so politely. I forgot what I said I would do. Tell me again, and I'll try to oblige. Oblige. You asked so politely. I forgot what I said I would do. Tell me again, and I'll try to oblige. Oblige. Dang it right to heck, Lucas. How are you, man? I like your posts. You're a brave, authentic dude yourself. Speaking of authenticity. Okay, we got every night I've been trying to play a new record. We're gonna run out pretty soon though. We probably have about 4 or 5 left. This is I got a fever in my bones and the donut song. Naps are always good. What's your sleep like? I'm usually a bit awake all night. I'm especially sleep deprived right now. Burning a candle on both ends, as they say. This is the donut song.
When you walk the street, you have no fears. You walk the lines and not the squares. As you go through life, make pictures go. Watch the donut, not the pole. Drifting on the rainbow.
Oh my goodness.
Drifting on the rainbow. There's different people. My friend, the little sparrow, flew close enough.
This is fun.
Drifting on the rainbow.
It's pretty gay. I like it. What the fuck?
I believe it must be so. Little angels rolling, so folks on earth would know. When you walk the street, you have no fear. You walk the line and not the square. When you go through life, make this day go. Watch the donut, not the pole.
Oh, in a previous iteration of the show called the Rainbow Tunnel. Using the power of Grayskull and the Eye of Thundera. But I funneled that power through a series of warp nacelles, creating a static warp bubble and a subsequent singularity. Which I use then to tunnel my way into the source. And here is this echo chamber. Is a way station built between your reality and the source. We are God here. Dang it to heck. And then what? Oh yeah, so we can get to all the, like, these are all windows and portals to different parts of the multiverse. We, the Council of Jasons, decide, we get together in a production meeting before each show and discuss what we'll discuss. The Council of Jasons. We get together in a production meeting before each show and discuss what we'll discuss. Oh, Lucas, if you're still here, I think you'd appreciate this. There was a show that I was tripping not that long ago And I freaked out during the middle of the trip, and then what happened? So I stopped the show, and then I couldn't remember if I'd actually stopped the show, and I couldn't figure out if I'd stopped the show, and then I was like freaking out, and then I was worried. I'd worried some of the people that were watching too, so like people were encouraging me to get back on, so I got back up here, and I started going, and when I go live, I go onto Facebook. I open the Facebook app and I choose my current live broadcast, and that's what creates the Inception thing, right? And then, but instead of doing that, because I was like, clumsy or whatever, instead of playing the new live broadcast, I played the one just before it, where I started tripping. So then there's a video of me watching myself begin to trip and freak out and have to stop it. Like, oh my goodness. So, like, I was tripping, watching myself trip while I was still tripping. I don't know. And then I became... It was anxiety producing, but I had a good time. I became God for a little while. I was also in hell for a little while. This phonograph up here became like the key or the gateway to what infinite power, to the, I don't know, Edison is the name that resounded throughout time. Right? It was but I feel like it was also it wasn't the most pleasurable experience. There was things that I enjoyed about it, perhaps. No trip. I don't believe in good or bad trips. I think there's just trips. Like, it's life. Like, trip is like your whole life. You feel every emotion, mostly fear, and a few laughs. Hopefully some good sex, and what? I don't know, like lots of tears too. Those are my trips. But like, it's so stigmatized, it's so demonized. Just like HIV, like less so weed's coming out of the closet, so to speak. But like, I don't know, substance use in general. Like, there's so many people in jail that shouldn't be there. The war on drugs was a paradigm shift away from the war on poverty, and I think we need to go back to the war on poverty. Like, the war on drugs is basically the war on the poor. Yeah, but so somebody's got I want, like, somebody, I don't know why it has to be me, but like, I want to, part of me wants to. I just feel this compelled, I feel compelled to, I don't know what it is. I'm just so sick of being judged. It's just like, I'm sick of everybody being judged. That's what it is, I think. I'm just like, I was a psych nurse for 12 years, like, on a lot of substance use. They like to call it a separate illness, but really it's just another coping. It's just like, sometimes it becomes a seriously maladaptive coping mechanism, but drug use is just a way to cope. Like, for me, it's recreation and a way to cope, right? And varying levels of either one. But it doesn't have to be. Like, it can be a well-balanced part of a healthy life, theoretically, depending, maybe. Who knows? But it doesn't have to be. It can be a well-balanced part of a healthy life, theoretically, depending, maybe. Yeah, like, there's a really good alternative paradigm. Feed people. What? Well, and you mean instead of like, what do you do with people that are addicted to drugs? Well, I think you make them go to the doctor and get a prescription for their drugs, right? If you want, and the doctor can, for heroin addicts or opiate addicts, can give them opiates, but they also give them education, like, and give them reversal agents in case they overdose. Give them good advice, like buddy up, like shoot up with a buddy. Right? It's like swimming. Never swim alone or after midnight or within an hour of eating, right? I don't know. The doctor will have a whole list of things. I don't know exactly what they'll be, but at least they'll be like it'll be sound advice that could perhaps keep people alive. And and then so yeah, like give people their drugs, give a like it's called harm reduction, like make them as safe as possible when you do it. Get rid of black markets, like stop funneling millions of guns and to our southern border. You know, like no wall is going to stop an army of millions and billions of guns. Okay, whatever. To our southern border, you know, like no wall is going to stop an army of millions and billions of guns. Okay, whatever. I put like. Train people to like I don't know what build houses for people. I don't know, build good housing. We're gonna have to rebuild our cities, like, especially now that we're pulling out of this Paris thing. We're gonna start looking for new seafront properties. I don't know, somewhere in Arizona or something. I don't even know. But the fact of the matter is, with the rise of the sea level, it will cause the greatest mass migration in human history. Because the majority, I don't know the percentage, but like a large majority of people live in coastal cities. I'm sure there's exceptions, but most of the big cities, and it makes sense, are like located on the coast. And like when Western Antarctic shelf starts to slip off and Greenland slips off into the, it will flood. Our cities will become unlivable, and we'll have to find new ways to house all these people. I don't know. We need to start like thinking ahead, and I don't know. Just put people to work. Put people to work. I don't know. We need to start like thinking ahead. Well, like, it's only in relatively recent times that, like, it seemed within the state's power to decide what heroin used to market for your babies, for your colicky, teething babies. I don't endorse drug use. I don't encourage drug use. I use drugs and I talk about it because other people use it and they go to jail and they get shunned by their families. They get shunned by society. And there's a whole generation of black men missing from the streets. There's a whole generation of black men missing from the streets. David, the guy I was with tonight, he brought up prisons completely independently, and like it's really one of my it's an issue that's really dear to me because like what really pains me about it is like it's so cynical and people profiteer. It's modern day slavery, really, more than anything else. It's so cynical and people profiteer. It's modern day slavery, really, more than anything else. Yeah, like because like at the same time of people you can overdose on lots of you can overdose on LSD. You can take the wrong kind of mushrooms and destroy your liver. You can overdose on alcohol. You can depending on where you live, you can face severe criminal penalties for marijuana. I don't want to encourage something that's like ultimately will hurt somebody, and then if I do that, then in my mind I bear some responsibility in what happened to them. I feel like if I'm talking about my own experience, like, I think there's a distinction. I think it's important that we are able to share our own experiences, but. Yes, risks are always present. That's why I don't have kids. I've talked to more than one parent that felt the same way as I do. I think sometimes I feel like having kids was the most selfish thing that I've ever done. Because I knew before I even had kids that I desperately missed my parents. You know, like I had an especially close relationship with my mom, and I'd always wanted to have kids anyway, and I just knew, like, I knew how close I was with my mom, and I just wanted to recreate that relationship. So I basically had kids to make myself feel better because I miss my mommy. And you know, life really is about suffering, right? You know, like my parents died; it was the most painful thing ever. Like, it's more painful than the HIV for sure. I'm gonna die. It's gonna hurt my kids. My kid had problems with bully at school. He has a lot of anxiety. I think similar to me. And then if you get like take it away from that more personal, like the idea to bring kids into this world that like, I mean, I try not to be. I try to be an optimist. I used to be like a pie in the. I have no idea. I don't know. Sometimes things work out. I used to say I had led a charmed life. Maybe I do. Let's play Bewitched. Oh no, let's play the other side of this other song. Let's play Bewitched. Oh no, let's play the other side of this other song. I got a fever in my bones. I got a fever in my bones. Yeah, I've never tried that, man. I've never tried that. Nice, man. Man, you have to tell me how it is. Right to heck. Dang it, right to heck. Sweet story. And then we're gonna take the pill. I need to go to sleep. I really do. Like I need some sleep. Okay, here we go around the mulberry bush.
I'm gonna take the pill.
Here we go around the mulberry bush. The mulberry bush. The mulberry bush. I don't need to get sleep. What the fuck do I got to do?
Okay, here we go around the mulberry bush. Here we go around the mulberry bush. The mulberry bush. The mulberry bush.
Here we go round the mulberry bush on a cold and frosty morning. This is the way we clap our hands, clap our hands, clap our hands. This is the way we clap our hands on a cold and frosty morning.
This is the way we clap our hands.
This dance game was particularly popular at the end of the 19th century. An earlier version mentions a bramble bush, and another begins,
Particularly popular.
"Who will you have for nuts in May? Who will you have for nuts in May?
Version mentions a bramble
Nuts in May, nuts in I don't know." Okay.
Who will you have for nuts in May?
Pussycat, where have you been?
Nuts in May.
Pussycat. Pussycat.
Pussycat.
Where have you been?
Pussycat.
I've been to London to see the Queen.
Pussycat. Pussycat.
Pussycat.
Where have you been?
Pussycat.
To see the Queen.
What did you there?
Pussycat.
I find a little mouse under her chair.
What did
It is
you
widely
there?
thought that the Queen here is Elizabeth I, and that the rhyme refers to an actual incident that took place in her reign.
It is widely thought that the Queen here.
Rain, rain, go away. Oh, wait. Rain, rain, go to Spain. Something. What is it? Rain, rain, go to Spain. Something, something.
Rain, rain, go to Spain. Something.
I don't know.
What is it? Rain, rain, go to Spain. Something, something.
Rain, rain, go to Spain. Something, something, something. Dang it, the heck. Okay. Giant pine cone. Welcome, this is Jason is a social scientist. Bimouth Daily. Pill number 221. Franklin Gondek. The pill is Triumeq. It's a once-a-day pill containing 3 medications. Abacavir, Dolutegravir, and Lamivudine. Dang it, the heck. Together they work in concert to suppress the replication of the HIV virus within my system. I can't stop noticing my overbite now.
Together they work in concert to suppress the
Maybe it's the camera angle. Maybe it's just I've been staring at my face for too long.
My overbite now. Maybe it's the camera angle. Maybe it's just I've been staring at my face for too long.
Okay. They work in concert to suppress the replication of the HIV virus within my system.
Okay.
I take my HIV medication live on the Book of Face in front of friends, family, and strangers each day in order to embrace stigma, dispel ignorance, and find support. And,
each day. in order to do a
Whatever. I don't know what else. So, yeah, what am I doing? Oh, this is the prop pill bottle. It's the prop one.
I don't know what else. So, what am I doing? Oh, this is the prop pill bottle. The prop.
Dang it. Don't look at me like that. Dang. Okay, so. Hey, Damien. Thanks for checking in.
Okay.
Wait,
So,
do I have a beverage?
hey, Damien. Thanks for checking in. Wait, do I have a beverage?
Okay, so pill number 200, this is 221, right? Pill 221, down the hatch. We are robot, right, Damien? I gotta, I just read short story. I'll read you a bedtime story. In your honor, you don't want to stick around though. We are robot. Alright.
In your honor, you don't want to stick around though. We are robot. Alright.
Simple Simon. Simple Simon met a pieman going to the fair. Says Simple Simon to the pieman, "Let me taste your ware." Says the pieman
Met a pieman
to Simple Simon,
going to the fair.
"Show me first your penny."
Says Simple Simon to
Says
the pieman.
Simple Simon to the pieman, "Indeed, I have not any." Simple Simon went to
Show me
fishing
first your penny.
for to catch a whale.
Says
All the water he had got was in his mother's pail.
Indeed, I have not any.
The tale of Simple Simon may date from Elizabethan times, and the Oxford English Dictionary confirms that in the 18th century at least,
Was in his
Simple Simon meant a natural, a silly fellow.
Simple Simon may date from
So here I've been wondering where you're at. How are you, man?
that in the 18th century at least, Simple Simon meant a natural, a silly fellow. So here I've been wondering where you're at. How are you, man?
Jason the Mason. Jesus was a carpenter. Jason's a mason. All right. I had a little pony.
Jesus was a carpenter. Jason's a mason.
I had a little pony.
All right.
His name was Dapple Gray.
I had a little pony.
I lent him to a lady to ride a mile away.
I had a little pony.
She whipped him. She slashed him.
Gray.
She rode him through the mire.
I lent him to a lady
I would not lend my pony now
to ride a mile away.
for all the ladies' hire.
She whipped him. She slashed him.
This version is first recorded in 1825,
I would not
although
lend
an
my
earlier
pony
one,
for
I had a little bonny nag. His name was Dapple Gray,
This version is
and he would bring me to an alehouse
although
a mile out of his way.
I had a little bonny name. His name was Dapple Gray.
Seems to have been in existence
And he would
since
bring me to a
1630.
house.
I know, poor silly Simon. Aw. Well, I hope you had a good time fishing. Fishing is always takes forever. Anyway.
Oh, poor silly Simon. Well, I hope you had a good time fishing. Fishing is always takes forever. Anyway.
Good night, Damien. What's happened to the candle? I blew it out probably again. Okay, so the pill's down.
What's happened to the candle?
I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Yeah. Good night.
Toes down.